When you think of the Texas Rangers, you're probably picturing a legend. But that legend, it was pretty much built by one man, a guy who completely changed the game out on the frontier, John Coffee Hayes. Today, we're going to get into his story.
His enemies gave him a nickname, and it was a fearsome one, Devil Jack. So who was this guy, and what in the world do you have to do to earn a name like that? The legend of Devil Jack wasn't born in a quiet town. No, it was forged out on the harsh, absolutely unforgiving Texas frontier.
Okay, so let's get the basics down. We're talking about John Coffee Hayes, born way back in 1817, who rose through the ranks to become a captain in the Texas Rangers. Now sure, he was known for his bravery and his tracking skills were second to none, but his real genius, that was in command. It's what earned him that nickname Devil Jack, a name that commanded respect and maybe a little fear, not just from his own men, but from the U.S. soldiers who saw him in action.
You don't get a name like Devil Jack by sitting still. Hayes' reputation was forged in the fires of one of America's most dangerous and wild frontiers.
So Hayes' career kicked off right after the Texas Revolution, but that decade between 1838 and 1848, whoa, that's where his legend was made. We're talking about 10 solid years of relentless, absolutely brutal fighting. It was a trial by fire that would shape him, and honestly, the entire future of the Texas Rangers.
And the danger was just constant. It came from every direction. On one front, Hayes and his men were up against fierce, highly skilled Comanche warriors. On another, they were clashing with Mexican forces in these brutal border disputes. And all the while, they were the only real line of defense for settlers and surveyors trying to make a life out there. The stakes just couldn't have been any higher.
So, facing all these constant threats, Hayes realized pretty quickly that the old ways of fighting just weren't going to work. He didn't just adapt, he completely reinvented frontier warfare.
Think of it this way. Before Hayes, combat on the frontier was kind of slow, formal, and really reactive. Hayes basically took that entire playbook and just threw it out. His new approach was built on pure speed, relentless mobility, and putting constant pressure on the enemy. He forced them to react to him.
His revolution really had three key parts. First, he was incredibly smart. He actually studied his Comanche adversaries and adopted their fluid, fast-paced style of fighting on horseback. Second, he made speed and mobility everything, using it to always keep the advantage. And third, he armed his men with a piece of technology that was an absolute game-changer, the Colt revolver. For the very first time, a man on horseback could deliver a rapid, sustained volley of fire. It changed, well, everything.
This combination of tactical genius and new technology didn't just win battles, oh no, it created a lasting legacy that truly echoes to this day.
And the results were just undeniable. Hayes transformed the Rangers into a lethal, incredibly effective force, and he's the one who really shaped their reputation for toughness and grit. More than that, he became the living symbol of frontier defense and pretty much created the blueprint for every single Ranger who came after him.
And this wasn't just some temporary impact. The methods Hayes pioneered, the very identity he forged for the Rangers, that became the official doctrine for frontier defense in Texas for decades. He fundamentally changed the course of the state's history.
Because of all this, he's remembered today as a key, foundational figure in shaping not just the Ranger identity, but the entire arc of early Texas military history. Simple as that.
It really leaves us with one final fascinating thought. How did the innovations of this one 19th century captain end up creating a legacy so powerful that it still defines an iconic American image all these years later?